Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I am Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom Orr. Tom, how's it going?
Tony, there's no time for that. The season's almost here. We have to get going with the show. Hurry up. Hurry up.
It is. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. It's been a long time since we got to watch a little bit of football and the college season specifically. And so here we are. It's underway. The college football season is underway. What did you think about that Nebraska game?
It was a game. It was nice to see fans in the stands again. I mean, that's I think my big takeaway is, we've been to college games more recently than a lot of people have been to college games, but we have not been to a college game with an actual full house since the Fiesta Bowl against Clemson in December of 2019. And of all of the stuff I'm looking forward to on Thursday in Minneapolis, that is right at the top of the list. Like a full stadium full of people, an actual college football game that feels like a college football game.
And you'll be right in there. I'll be in the press box wanting the windows to be open, but also wanting the air conditioning to stay on. So, there's a give and take. You got to go there to get to take there. So Tom, we thought this episode kind of look ahead to the Minnesota game in a sense. We are going to correctly predict the starting lineup for the Buckeyes for Thursday night, that first snap. And then, maybe we'll talk about a couple of other things. And there's really probably not any need to spend too much time on a quarterback position since we know that CJ Stroud has been named a starter. But Tom, could this be some subterfuge by Ryan Day to where maybe he named CJ Stroud the starter, but he's actually going to go with somebody else?
No.
Good answer. So let's move to running back, Tom, where there is some intrigue. Me personally, I think the first carry of the game is going to go to redshirt freshman Mayan Williams. We've seen him running with the ones throughout practice, consistently doing that. We know Tony Alford can't wait to see what he can do. The only way to find out what he can do is to let him do it immediately. And then because you know what Master Teague can do, but obviously he's going to carry some. Travion Henderson will get some in there. But for me, that first carry of the game, that first, well, maybe not even the first carry. I assume it'll be the first carry. But the first snap for a running back in that game is going to be Mayan Williams.
I think they might put Teague in there for the first snap of the game. I think Williams has the most carries on Thursday against the Gophers. I think there might be a little bit of deference to seniority there with Teague, where it's not like there's a massive gap between any of the top three guys. I think, any of the top three guys could be the leading rusher in basically any game this year. I think that's a possibility. I could see them sort of deferring to seniority on the first snap or the first set of downs, and then you bring in Mayan Williams. I won't be shocked if Mayan Williams is the guy who gets takes the first snap. I do expect Mayan Williams to be the guy who gets the first carry, but I'm gonna go with Teague as the starter. And if I'm wrong, it's just because the Ohio State coaching staff has no respect for the older players.
So you think it'll be, if Teague is in there, it's play action. It's going to be a bootleg to like a tight end or something. It's a rollout, misdirection, throwing the ball.
Ohio State opens the season throwing to the tight end. Now, I mean, come on, let's live within reality, Tony. Come on.
So it's just a simple drop back and a quick slant or something like that instead.
They could come out 5 wide and it wouldn't shock me. I mean, I think you're going to try and give CJ Stroud a real easy, quick, real easy throw to just kind of get his confidence and just get him in the rhythm of the game. That's what I'm expecting in the first play of the game rather than a handoff. But, like a Jackson Smith-Njigba runs a little slant or runs a quick little out or something like that, just an easy or, a little dump off pass to a running back or whatever.
All right. So that's who we both expect to be in the game, the first snap at running back. Tom, what about fullback?
I'm going to go with Nikki Sualua, as I have for the last 26 years or so.
I'm going Jeff Cothran. Let's see who is right about this one. Oh, and here comes Matt Keller. Gosh dang it. But, okay, we won't need to talk about fullback. Here's Tom. I'll just give you my wide receivers that are out there on that first snap, because I only have them going with two receivers for that first snap. and that is going to be Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave, because I believe they're going to run the ball on that very first carry, and they're going to do it with 2 tight ends, but we'll get there later. I think obviously Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson are the 2. If there's a third, we know it's Jackson Smith and Jigba. But for me, I think it's just going to be 2 guys out there for that very first snap.
That's interesting. It's a possibility. And if they do that, is that an indication they're having almost like a max protect kind of thing? And you're going to send Olave and Wilson deep and just huck one down the field? Like, I mean, that's a possibility. I hadn't really considered that. I think you come out 3 wide receivers. I think you put, Wilson and Olave and Jackson Smith and Jigba out there, and spread them out a little bit. You want to split Jeremy Ruckert out wide, like do that. But yeah, I think you've got I think you're starting with 3 wide receivers, Ruckert at tight end, 1 running back. Just run that 11 personnel out there. That's probably largely going to be your base this year. Mm-hmm. So start with that, and then you can work off of that. But the 2 tight end idea is intriguing. I don't think they're running the ball on the first play of the season, but I have been wrong before. I can't come up with a specific example right now, but I'm sure it's happened.
We need to go back, and when I say we, I mean you, and chart for like the last 30 years, like 25 years. What is the first play from scrimmage every year? Like, is it a runner? Is it a pass? And do you expect it to be a 50-50 thing? Like, is it? It's not only is it a first down, which is usually like the running down. It's the first play of the first game, and does it skew even more? Obviously, we know Ryan Day likes to throw the ball. I just think on the road, at night, extra tight end in there, and then they can also run no huddle from that, because they do like that 12 personnel. And now Jeremy Ruckert can become the slot guy, and Cade Stover, who I believe who I am now fully invested in starting in this game with the two tight end set, the 12 personnel, that he becomes, the Luke Farrell, and they are able to run that offense however they want without changing personnel, but they will only do that so long because they have to get their best receiver in the game eventually.
Wouldn't that be quite a shock if they just didn't play Jackson Smith and Jigba for the whole game? Just there's a wrinkle Minnesota didn't see coming, and which would probably welcome with open arms. Like, what about if he didn't? Like, yeah, I suspect we will probably see some Jackson Smith and Jigba, but if it's not on the first play, probably relatively shortly after that. But yeah, I'll go with Ruckert at tight end. I'll stick with the 11 personnel and Ruckert at tight end, and you will see a ton of Cade Stover. I think Cade Stover has pretty clearly established himself as the number 2 tight end on this team. That sounds like they are very happy with him, not only as a blocker, but also as a receiver. I think you're going to see some, I don't want to say big things because he is still an Ohio State tight end, but I think you're going to see some things from Cade Stover this year, and you're going to see a lot of time on the field, a lot of snaps for Cade Stover this year. I just don't think it'll be the first one of the year.
We don't need to get into an argument about it, but you're wrong. Just so you know, one of us is wrong.
Schrodinger's tight end. He is both on and off the field for the first play of the game. Offensive line. Exactly. Do you just want to go across the deck on offensive line?
Sure. Go ahead.
I think, barring something unexpected, I think you're going to see the reconfigured 4-tackle offensive line for Ohio State. I think you're going to Nick Petit-Frere at left tackle, Thayer Munford at left guard, Harry Miller at center, Paris Johnson at right guard, Dwan Jones at right tackle. Unless Munford has a health issue and then you swap in Matt Jones there at left guard, I have seen and heard nothing that would lead me to believe that that's not what they're going to be doing. Assuming Munford's healthy, that's the move. And if Munford isn't healthy, then you swap Matt Jones in, and then that's the move.
Yeah, no, I agree completely with everything you just said. And I think Ryan Day does as well, and pretty much said as much last week when asked if this is the lineup. And so at this point, like we said a week and a half ago, you've been doing this. So you are too invested now to back out of it. And Nick Petit-Frere is playing too well, and Dwan Jones is playing too well. If the odd man out is Thayer Munford, sorry, man. But no, we do expect him to eventually, he should be fine. He's in and out, but it's also, he's played forever. He's not a 2,000 rep club, 3,000 rep club with that guy. Yes, he needs work at left guard and get some experience there. But he seems to have done pretty well. And when I've talked to the defensive line, they're like, yeah, he's okay. He's doing all right. So no real concerns there. And even I just go back to when we first heard about it, and it's like, it doesn't seem like a wise thing. But if DeJuan Jones is one of the best 5, then that's the goal of getting them all out there. I do wonder if does this move to left tackle set the end for Nicholas Petit-Frere? Like, will he then become an NFL draft guy that he could come back next year? Does he just go off? Does DeJuan Jones play so well that he goes off? And we know Thayer Munford will be gone. And does Harry Miller play so well at center that he goes off? But we'll talk about that later. We're just here to talk about Minnesota.
I'm not prepared to do the starting lineup for the 2022 season opener just yet. I feel like there's some the chips that still need to fall before we can make any sort of strong assertions on that one.
Do you think we'll see Matt Jones? Say Thayer Munford starts. Do you think we'll see Matt Jones in the first half? I wouldn't be shocked. Just to see him get some snaps, the rotational thing, if they want to try.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. And especially, I mean, we don't know exactly where they, how concerned they are about Munford and his ability to go all season long. If you see Matt Jones, that probably is an indication like they're not 100% sure he's going to be able to do it, which makes sense. He hasn't been, I think it's been precautionary for a lot of August, but you're not necessarily he's been held out more than some of the other guys who are being held out as like real precautionary stuff. So I think it does have to be a little bit of a concern, but it definitely would not shock me to see Matt Jones subbing in for a healthy Thayer Munford, even just for a drive or two, just to, hey, you're getting some game reps together and, just start building that continuity during, in game situations. We have seen in the past Ohio State swap in the entire second offensive line, for a drive or two in the first half. That was like a Jim Tressel thing. I don't think you're going to see that by any means, but yeah, seeing Matt Jones get a drive or something would not be a huge shock. And, I personally cannot wait for the panic on Ohio State Twitter the first time. Oh no, what's wrong with Thayer Munford? Nothing is wrong with Thayer Munford. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, just as long as he leaves under his own power.
Mm-hmm.
Do we, since this is the first snap, do we talk about special teams? I mean, if Ohio State kicks off, maybe. Although if Ohio State kicks off, that has changed everything because that is technically the first snap. Although it is not a snap, so technically it is not. Unless they punt on first down, Tom. Man,
that would be I would have to have my Fire Ryan Day column written pretty early on the day if they're punting on first down. I don't want you punting on fourth down. I definitely don't want you punting on first down. Like you too, PJ Fleck.
Yeah,
no exactly. Punting. No.
So
punting.
Let's go then. I guess we can move to defense then, which a lot of this depends on health and scheme and the last week or so of jockeying. But let's start at defensive end. Let's start with both defensive ends, Tom, because for me, and I think both of these guys have missed some time a little bit recently, not much maybe, but Zach Harrison and Tyreek Smith. I think those are your two. They will be in there starting the game, and they are the two best defensive ends on the team, two of the best in the Big Ten, maybe the two best in the Big Ten. They'll make an argument for it this year, and if Ohio State is going to win a national championship, they kind of need to be the two best defensive ends in the Big Ten. They both have that potential. Now they just Tom. Now they just need to meet in the middle.
Is that how defensive line play works? Yeah, I'm with you there. Those are the two guys who, if everyone's healthy, and you're not seeing something completely ludicrous out of Minnesota in terms of an offensive alignment for the first play, something like that. Those are the two guys I would expect to be out there for that first snap. You get your two veterans. I think without Tyler Friday there, like he's not he's out, and so that removes one possible guy who could be in that mix. Javonte Jean-Baptiste seems like he's just a little behind those two guys. You're probably not throwing Jack Sawyer or JT Tuimoloau out there for the first snap of the game. So yeah, I think defensive end. I have, barring some kind of a health issue that we're not aware of at the time that we're recording this, I think it would be very surprising if those were not the two guys.
They may be the two most certain locks, because when we look at the other two defensive line positions, while we may have an idea of who's going to be there, we don't know where each guy will be.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want to talk about, we'll just talk about the nose tackle for now, which we know all of the defensive tackles have been working at for the most part. Antoine Jackson, Haskell Garrett, Teron Vincent. Jerron Cage probably still, I'm not expecting him, even if he's now ready to go, he's missed some time. So I'm going to assume he's not going to be that guy. But it becomes a question of, do they want to put Haskell Garrett and Teron Vincent together? And I feel like they do. And so, whether Haskell Garrett is at nose tackle or the 3-tech, whether Teron Vincent is at the nose tackle or 3-tech, I think those two guys are starting the game. And whereas Antoine Jackson in there, he's going to be rotating. But if we're talking about the best 11, I think those two are two of them. So that's where I am.
I agree that those two are your best two. And I think those two are the two who are going to start a lot of games this year. I don't know if those are the two who start against Minnesota, because Minnesota's going to be coming out and they're going to want and get a big veteran offensive line. Do you need a bigger body on the inside? Is it Haskell Garrett next to Antoine Jackson just to have, like more of a true nose in there? That's the only reason I think there's at least some question to this, because you're right. I think those are, the Oregon game. I think those are your two starters. 100%. It's Haskell Garrett and Teron Vincent next to each other for the Oregon game. I just wonder about Minnesota. They're going to want to pound the ball. I don't think they have a tremendous amount of faith in their wide receivers. So you're going to want to get Mo Ibrahim going. You're going to want to keep the clock moving. You're going to want to keep the Ohio State offense off the field. So I wonder if there's a possibility it's Haskell Garrett at 3 and like Antoine Jackson at the nose. That to me is the only question mark there is how do they go there? I guess I'll side with you just because I don't want to be wrong in case, I don't want to be like, well, that was stupid. I ever thought that. So, if there's one thing we do on the show, it's not overthink things. So therefore I'm going to, that has been very consistently our brand for 5 seasons now. So yeah, I'll go with I'll go with you with Teron Vincent and Haskell Garrett in there. But if they don't, that's why.
Interestingly, Tom, do you know of those 3, Antoine Jackson, Haskell Garrett, and Teron Vincent, who is listed as the heaviest on the official Ohio State roster?
Is it Haskell Garrett?
It is Teron Vincent at 305. The other 2 are listed at 300, all 3 at 6'2". Teron Vincent has always seemed like a 290 guy. And it's just because we think of him as this quick guy.
Yeah.
But maybe he's had to bulk up because of these additional requirements that Larry Johnson has put on him, because Larry Johnson can't recruit a nose tackle.
I have bad news. Tyleik Williams is still on the team. So he's probably not starting because he's a true freshman, but he is not listed at 300 pounds, I don't believe, Tyleik Williams. So he came in at 330, 340. But he came in at 330. He's all the way down to 320, I believe, last time I looked. So yeah, they will they'll have plenty. And I don't remember where Jerron Cage is listed, but yeah, I think he's a little bigger. But yeah, that's interesting because I think of Antoine Jackson as a bigger guy, but apparently not. So never mind. I rescind my overthinking. I'm with you.
Never do it again. Tyleik Williams listed at 315 now. So
the incredible shrinking nose.
So here's another sure thing. I think Taraji Mitchell at the will. That seems to be, because when we talked to Ryan Day and Ryan Day was asked, hey, which linebackers are you totally sure about? And his answer was basically Taraji Mitchell. And that's in terms of the way he's playing. I think they like the way other guys are playing, but he's been the most consistent guy who's been practicing. And we know Dallas Cannon has missed time. Cody Simon has missed time. Tommy Eichenberg has missed time. So there's still some question there. But Tom, Will, I think, is set. I think you would agree with me.
Yes.
So tell me, you go first. Who is starting at the middle linebacker spot?
I feel like all camp I would have said Cody Simon. So I'm going to say Cody Simon. Because, it's not like there's a sure thing, a guy who's been 100% healthy and played in 100% of the practices. So I'm going to go with Cody Simon here just because I think that's what I would have said pretty much all month. But it's possible any of those three guys is not dressed for this game or whatever. I mean, that is a possibility. So, but yeah, I'll go with Cody Simon. I think, the camp reports out of him have just been bananas this year. So, and you've seen it. We've seen it when we've been in practice. Like it's not like it's just you're hearing stuff and it's like, that's weird. I don't see it. Like you see it with him. So yeah, I'll go with Cody Simon. You have to disagree. So pick someone else.
No, I can't disagree unless he's just not as healthy as, say, a Dallas Gannett. And it's not quite who's the healthiest, because I think Cody Simon is, even if he's say 85%, Dallas Gannett is 90, you go with Cody Simon's 85. But yeah, I'm with Simon, and you'll see Dallas Gannett, you'll see Tommy Eichenberg, and maybe Kayvon Pope somewhere, which leads me to the next question. Tom, this is Minnesota. They're going to run the ball. Does Ohio State open with 3 linebackers, which we saw a glimpse of at the one practice window that we got to see? But do they open with 3 linebackers, or will there be a Sam, or will there be a Bullet, Tom?
I think you're going to see Craig Young out there, where it's the linebackery, end of the Bullet spectrum. You're not, I don't think it's Ronnie Hickman. I don't think it's Court Williams, but I think they're going to want the Bullet out there. It feels like that's going to be the base defense this year. So you're probably going to open in that. So I'll go with Craig Young there.
Yeah, me too. I think that's the happy medium. Although he may not like that nickname. I don't know. Maybe the angry medium would be better. I still think it would blow everybody's mind if like that first snap is Court Williams, and now it's just like he has been anointed. But I think we'll see him in there. Obviously, we'll see Ronnie Hickman. But initially, I agree. It's Craig Young. You have now adapted this position. You have integrated it into your defense. So you just use the bigger guy. And I know they're not telling us that Craig Young is the running bullet and Ronnie Hickman is the passing bullet, because we asked and they were like, oh, we don't want to get into that.
Oh no, everyone can do everything.
Yes.
That's why we're going to be subbing guys out situationally. Sure. Yes.
So yeah, I'm with you. Craig Young will get that start, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. I'm looking forward to seeing how they implement this position. Is it an attacking thing? Is it just a guy that's, sits back and not quite his own, but just, how much action in the backfield will he make, I guess, is really what I want to see. And, we've seen Craig Young. He can cover, he can run. He's big. He said he's 6'4" now. So you're 6'4", he's probably listed at like 223, and looks, he's constantly working with the safeties. Will sometimes rotate back like Pete Werner did in 2019, and he'll be a guy that can cover ground and maybe connect with violence, but not targeting, but just maybe some big hits along the way. I think that'll be fun to watch. I don't advocate big hits. No,
I can tell you, I'm deeply excited for the start of the Taraja Mitchell era of linebacker play at Ohio State. I feel like we've been waiting for that for a long time, and at some point he's going to put someone into the third row of the stands, and health is important, and don't lead with your head, but like it's also like, let's not lie. It's fun to watch football players hit each other. Like there's a reason the Zach Dumas hit in the Hall of Fame Bowl has however many views it has on YouTube. It's like, well, you'd be kicked out and maybe executed for that now, but like, whew, that was a hit.
Not only the hit, the stand over him, the celebration. Like the hit is one suspension. The celebration, the standing over him is another. The celebrating and all of that is like, that's a 3-game suspension for just that one hit. And it is deserved based on today's football. It was amazing.
And doing that in a game where you lost by 17 points to an SEC team. Like, man, that was some, I don't want to say the John Cooper era was at its most John Cooper there, but it was up there.
That's also what woke up Auburn in that game, because Ohio State was doing pretty well. And then that happened. And it's still the greatest hit I've ever seen in a game, live or otherwise. Tom, let's move to the corners, where there is some intrigue. I think Seven Banks, he's obviously one. I am going with Cam Brown as the other. I think you've got your veterans Cam Brown has recovered. All signs are good. Although when we've seen them, he's not always been in there, but we know he was on a pitch count. Saw Seven Banks running with the twos for some reason. That means nothing to me. I think it's those two. The real question for me is there a rotation? And I think there will be. I don't know. We'll see if it happens right out of the gate. If it's, a couple of plays and then in comes, Ryan Watts or Legend Cavazos or Demario McCall. But I think it's those two. And then Tom, tell me who you think, and then tell me who you think that third guy in is going to be.
You've got those two guys. I think those are the correct answer, Banks and Brown. A third guy in, it's interesting. You name three guys, and I think Denzel Burke might be in that group too. And I can't fathom that they're really going to have a true freshman be the third corner in. So I think all camp I would have said Ryan Watts. So I guess I'm going to stick with Ryan Watts. But I mean, any of those four guys could plausibly be the third guy in, which is either great news or not great news. Because either, as the old saying goes, if you have six corners in your three-corner rotation, you don't have three corners in your three-corner rotation.
I remember hearing that growing up as a child. Days on the farm and hearing about those stories. I do wonder that nickel corner, and I'm not talking about the cover safety. I'm talking about the guy who comes in on dime, basically. Is that where we see a Denzel Burke, or that we've talked with Ross about? Is that where Marcus Williamson comes in? But there's an opportunity there when the Buckeyes are in dime as well for another corner to come in.
Yeah, and I don't know that this is necessarily the game where you're going to see a lot of that, because I don't know that Minnesota's going four wide a whole heck of a lot, but that is going to be interesting to watch, because they have a bunch of movable parts that it's like, you could plausibly have any of six guys in a three-corner rotation. And some of those other guys could slot in as the nickel. You could move, like you said, Marcus Williamson from that cover safety role to the dime spot. I mean, that's a really interesting combination of guys. And with as many guys as they have in that group, like, seems like something is going to work. Like, I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but it seems like the answer pretty much has to be in there somewhere.
Yeah, you've got a pantry full of stuff, and maybe you don't want this just one thing individually, but you start putting stuff together. You've got enough stuff that'll work, and you can make it work. And the options compared to last year is just ridiculous. It's like buying toilet paper now versus buying toilet paper in May of 2020. like whatever you want is out there now. Back then, it's like, I didn't even know Mead made toilet paper, but here we are, and it's college ruled. I don't know what that means, but I don't care for it.
Let's transition from that as quickly as humanly possible to the safeties. Deep safety, Josh Proctor. Cover safety, Lathan Ransom. I think that's your answer. I think, you do maybe move Marcus Williamson to the dime or whatever, but Proctor has just very consistently been the deep safety. When we've seen it. Ransom had essentially passed Marcus Williamson by the end of last season. So if you did that as a true freshman with a guy who was in his fourth season, like, okay, well, with another year, I bet he's still ahead of him. So I think those are my two answers at the deep safety spots.
Those are my two answers as well. Josh Proctor has been very mature. The anticipation is still there, but he's not going too early. He's slowed down, which has allowed him to speed up, if that makes any sense. Like, the processes have slowed down in terms of the game has slowed down for him. So he is moving faster, has been consistent based on what the coaches have said, and they would not lie to us. So there is that. Like, I feel a lot better about Ohio State's situation at free safety, because we on the show have been talking about the importance of it for years since they went to the one high safety, and I'm starting to feel like this. And I said the same thing to Josh Proctor. It's like, do you finally feel like you are where you now? This is what you came to Ohio State to be, and he's in the right spot. I mean, this is based on who he was when they recruited him. This is the ideal position for him. The one high safety, run all around, come up and hit, make sure nobody gets by you. So I think, if he's as good as he should be if his athleticism allows him to be, then Ohio State's in good hands. And then Lathan Ransom at that cover safety spot, they said they didn't expect this from him when they recruited him. He's supposed to be a deep safety guy, but to be able to cover and run and help out and run support, yeah, I think it's going to be those guys. And then there's still going to be some guys coming in. Marcus Williamson, will we see some Cameron Martinez here and there? Just the number of options that they have now allows them to try some different things and get some guys in. And I want to see where Court Williams is in all of this as well. So there's going to be some fun things. But yeah, did we have any disagreements here in that defense?
Not on the defensive backfield. I don't know if we had on the defense really. I think
we both Cody Simon, Taraji Mitchell, Greg Young.
I think that was boring. Sorry, everyone. All right, we can fight about the kicker. Tony, who's the starting kicker? Because I think it's Jake Seibert with Jesse Mirko punting. Your thoughts?
Wow. I agree with you on Mirko. Gosh, do we embrace debate or do we embrace agreement?
and here's the little secret. I don't know that the coaches have made up their minds yet. And so I think, and it's not like we've had a lot of opportunity to watch very closely within practices. Like we've seen field goal, but when they're doing field goal, there's a bunch of players lined up between us and where they're actually kicking. So it's like, well, one of those guys just pushed one left, but I don't know who it was. So, but I'm gonna go with Jake Seibert. I think you sort of defer to the incumbent, sort of air quotes incumbent guy. So I'll go with Jake Seibert, but I am doing it with an exceptionally low level of confidence. I
will go. Are we talking kickoffs or first placement?
First placement.
I'll go. I would like to go Jake Seibert as well because he's been around and he's done this. So I will, but then it feels like a waste if they brought in Noah Ruggles. Not that it's a waste. So I'll go Noah Ruggles because they brought him here for a reason, Tom. And that reason is to kick the ball through them uprights.
He could do that on kickoffs.
You just said, yeah, well, he could. So could Dom DiMaccio and so could Jake Seibert. I mean, and well, you know what? Actually, it depends on how far away they are, Tom. Because I think Seibert is the long guy. Noah Ruggles is the short guy, and they're not going to be kicking long field goals.
Well, everyone who Tony named on the offense, he doesn't think you're going to be able to punch the ball in. So direct your complaints to @Tony Gerdeman on Twitter.
Extra points, Tom.
But you said it depends on how far it is. The extra points are the same distance. Are you thinking they're going to get celebration penalties? I'm
saying Noah Ruggles is the short guy.
I check the heights. I don't know. I haven't looked at the roster. You've got the roster.
6'2", 305.
No, it doesn't sound too short to me.
But, all right. Anything else, Tom? We should probably get out of here.
We should probably get out of here. As the season is like a half hour closer than it was when we started. I'm starting to get a little panicked. We don't have very much time before the game, so better get going.
Yet. Yeah, gotta go. All right. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening. Reminder to check out BuckeyeScoop.com. Become a member if you are not yet a member. It's well worth the money, and it's not even a lot of money. And check us out on YouTube.com/BuckeyeScoop, which is totally free, unless you also want to give money there, which you can if you click the thanks button on any video that we produce. And that's the first time I've ever asked that or mentioned that. And now I don't know if I feel good about it or if we could start doing it every single show. We'll see. But thank you all for listening and watching, and we will talk to you later.